And they wanted houses to be built. So that's why a lot of the money's going toward, you have
Down payment.
percentages that have to go toward construction and home purchases. So the two powerful groups that lobbied to get this program started, that's why that's in there. Now, I believe that they changed the prohibition against working on mobile homes, but I think you would need to talk with Ms. Schweitzer about that. And also, in terms of prioritizing SHIP inside the city limits, it'd be the same thing. You need to talk with her. But I do recall that. Now, she told me she only had, I think, one application right now, so she's going to be, I guess, trying to drum up some more applications as well. So we're all trying to team up and promote housing opportunities in Franklin County.
Laura Flavius, excuse me. Well, one more question. On this grant thing, now you said the city, they might be doing, pipe projects and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Do they allow them to do 2 projects a year?
No, sir. The way the CDBG program works in the state of Florida, you have to finish, you can only have one, with the exception of an economic development grant. You could have that in addition to, there's 4 categories. There's housing, there's commercial revitalization, which they're only going to fund like 1 or 2 a year of that, and that's for commercial areas. And there's neighborhood revitalization. The past grants that we did were neighborhood revitalization. We did road paving, water and sewer extensions, some stormwater drainage, that kind of thing. That's what's called neighborhood revitalization. That's what Apalachicola chose this year to pursue, was neighborhood revitalization. Franklin County didn't have another very competitive project for the neighborhood revitalization. And so we decided that we'd be better off applying in the housing category, and that was correct. That's where you got the money this year. So when you finish one grant, then you close out, then you're eligible to apply again the next application cycle.
Okay.
What do you need from us today, Debbie?
I guess some clarification now. It was my understanding that you would like to prioritize mobile homes, but not exclusively mobile homes. Is that correct?
Want to do both? Okay.
On the unincorporated areas we're talking about.
Right, yes.
I would like to see us do mobile homes until we reach such a point that there's no applicants to, and then come back and readdress the policy issue myself. I just don't see taking this money and building, and I'm saying building, some of these homes that people are eligible or meet the income qualifications. I believe that some of these homes are just going to be so bad they're going to be tore down. So you're only going to be able to assist 4 people, where we can help a number of people that have mobile homes that does not qualify to get assistance from SHIP. That was what my understanding of was the whole. I'm not saying we can't come back later and readjust, just as you're asking us to readdress this morning. But I mean, I think you'll have a lot more applicants, and I don't know how you advertised that the program was open. I don't know if it was in the mail, on the paper, or what.
I did put an ad in the paper one time so
But I think there's a lot
far.
of people that
Yeah.
would be eligible and have mobile homes that need help, and we're just looking at 10 applications here, and I would have thought you'd have had 3 pages of these things by now.
I'm a little surprised that I haven't, but
You
I'll
don't know exactly.
do
That's
some more
what I'm
work.
saying. They don't know the help is out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And I think when they do, but I want to reiterate that when you're going through this, that we want to try to help the whole county and not
Right.
just one little area.
Yeah.
So I want to see the program spread across the commissioners' districts here and inclusive of the whole county. Help a few here, help a few there, help a few there, help a few, and if the money's still there and nobody wants to apply, then we'll go back and look at the houses. I mean, that's my opinion.
And what about
Because I think we can help more people than just 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people. We can help 25 people.
Well, we have to do 10, a minimum. We have to do a
Yeah,
minimum of 10.
$750,000. I think if you help 10 people, that's $70,000 a piece. I mean, to me, that's a little bit above the range. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
replacing 10 mobile homes.
Re-
I'd like to go
remember-
in and help put a
I'm
roof
well,
in,
I'm saying a minimum
or
of 10.
insulation, or try to help people. But You know, we
You
can't.
do a bunch of trailers, $700,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Remember, Smakey, we said, you know, you may go in an area that has a bad mobile home or a bad house, and it may be worth your while to tear it down, and you can buy one of those new ones for $70,000, and that's what we kind of alluded to, you know. That's the
Right.
way we look at it, so I think you pretty much know what your market orders
Right.
are.
I'm just telling you what's come in so far.
Okay.
Okay? And I understand
It looks like
that's.
some of these are not gonna meet the income.
Oh, right,
or
that's,
other
yeah, I'm
requirements.
just making you aware of the people who have
application.
contacted me. And when we first got started, I said that I wasn't gonna even take any applications until, I think I put an ad in the paper and I said after this date, we'll start taking them. So everybody had notice. It's the same way SHIP program does. You give notice that the funds are available. And then, what I'm going to try to do is hold a group of applications, and hopefully it will expand, and then you can start prioritizing if you
Right.
have more to use.
Well,
Now,
What SHIP do is, they got a limit of 25,000 to a house. But you saying you're prioritizing trailers, well, that's good too, but you still gonna have some people coming there in East Fernandina and all, in your district, Smoky, you gonna have some people with houses who gonna need work too. So you just can't cut them out neither.
one of the things to notice is, though, that in the CDBG program, you can't just go in and do a roof unless that's all the house needs. You have to do everything that is needed. So that is a difference. And so I think we will more often hit the point where where we end up having to remove and replace with the CDBG program than we do with the other programs. And we also had to promise that we would use Energy Star this, Energy Star that. I mean, the standards that we have to meet are higher than with the SHIP program.
Yeah, I see they got different guidelines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, in fact, I have to do an environmental review of every single property. If we're going to dig in the ground, I have to consult with the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma to see if they have any objections. I mean, what we have to do in CDBG is very different than what we have to do with SHIP.
Let me, Mr. Chairman, if I might, real quick. I'm just reading here on the back of page 2 of 6, when it gets to the limit of CDBG financial assistance for replacement of site-built housing is $95 a square foot, up to $114,000 per home.
Now, that's the maximum.
Yeah, but
Maximum.
how is somebody gonna meet the income limit and be eligible for this?
Well,
And if they
it-
don't meet the income limit, how they gonna take care of it once you build it? How they gonna pay their taxes? How they gonna keep it painted? How they gonna upkeep it? If they're making that kind of income, then they can do like the rest of us and they can get a house on their own.
well, the
I wanna
idea.
help the people that's not able to do that. And I wanna see these funds spent for the people that are not able to provide for themselves, whether they're handicapped, whether they're elderly. These are the type of people I wanna help. I don't wanna help the people that's able to go to work like I am. I mean, that's my opinion. I wanna help the people that cannot do it on their own.
I'm with you on that, brother.
If these people can go out and go to work, and they need to go out and go to work. If they
Yeah.
can't, if they're disabled or handicapped or elderly, where they can't, those are the type of people I feel like this board should be helping.
Well, that's why that is included in your priority system.
Yeah, okay. It just kind of upsets me when I look at building somebody a new house, and if they can't do it themselves, how they gonna maintain it, how they gonna keep it up, how they gonna pay their taxes, the water and the sewer. I mean, if they can do all that, then they can build their own house. That's what I had to do. I mean, I'm just trying to help the people that can't help
I
themselves.
I understand.
I mean,
We got a lot of-
my heart goes out to people that can't do it on their own.
I understand.
My
And
heart-
that, we just we're required to put a limit, though.
I understand.
And so what I did was, I said, well, what would it take to build a house for a family? If that's what you chose to assist a family, then what would it take? And so you have to
Okay,
put a limit
okay,
in
but
there.
that's not my prioritization.
Right.
I mean,
And,
I'm
well,
not
let's
raising
say,
families,
for
you, Miss Debbie.
example,
I'm
though,
just saying how I feel
that, yeah,
about it.
let's say, for example, if you had a situation where they had a house, and I don't know, you got disabled people and the mobile homes are just not gonna work and, you know, the design of them and you decide, yes, for this case, we wanna build them a house. Well, you gotta have a policy that provides for those situations. Doesn't mean that you're going to actually do that, but you say, you know, here's what our limits are.
Right.
Can I ask, so Debbie, based on what the board wants, is the policy, is the agreement set up for that? Or do you need to make amendments to the policy?
I think we need to add mobile home as a priority factor. If you want us to choose, if two people are equally qualified, okay, based on everything else, but one is a house and one is a mobile home, if you want us to prioritize the mobile home, then we need to say so in our policy.
So moved.
That's what I wanted to make sure, Commissioners, that
So
that was in
moved.
there.
I got a motion, need a second? Second. Got a motion, second on the floor, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
And while Ms. Belcher's been talking, I've been texting Lori the SHIP. I'm gonna meet with her tomorrow morning, and she's probably gonna be at the next meeting to work out the SHIP issues
Okay.
that we need to see what can be done.
Yeah, because we got a
also.
meeting at 1:30, we need
Well,
kind
Well,
of.
no, I'm gonna fix and stop from here at 12 to 1, come back, finish up theirs, and we'll go
Okay.
right on into the workshop at 1:30.
No, let's go ahead and get all this, let's get the reports out here and then go
Well, if we go
on.
to, my report is, if we go
Yeah,
to the
reports
two
are
reports, we're gonna
wild.
be here like way after
You're gonna be
12:30,
here
Commissioner.
and fall in the workshop.
Was there anything else on the agenda that you covered?
I don't want,
If you're gonna finish
Just
it
come
up
back at
here.
one.
Are you done with
Come
me?
back at one.
come back at 1?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we'll knock off the
Okay,
1 and come back
come
and
back
finish
at
it up.
1.
Finish it up.
Okay, we're gonna come back at 1 and finish their
We're gonna
report.
come back at 1 o'clock and finish up the agenda, then we'll go straight into the workshop. Meeting adjourned till 1
So
o'clock.
we do the,
Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Let's see. East Point, okay, East Point Medical Center,
Commissioner, they'll be back, I'll reschedule them on the agenda later.
okay. Marsha Johnson. Okay. Mr. Alan Pierce, you have something?
Yes, sir. And I had a written report, but I had to amend it as of late of last night at 5 o'clock after a conference call. So items number 1 and 2 are as I wrote, but item number 3 was substantially changed, and item number 4 a little bit. So let me go through my report with you. Item number 1, inform the board that I've had several phone calls from U.S. Treasury personnel on the topics related to the county's planning grant. This is a restored planning grant. Treasury is asking for an amendment to the county Dewberry contract, so the contract specifically references certain sections of the U.S. Treasury codes and certain sections of the Code of Federal Regulations, the CFR. The good news in all this is the county, if we can comply with U.S. Treasury requests, Franklin County will be the first county to get its planning grant approved without special conditions. Gulf County and Escambia County have their planning grants approved, but they have special conditions which prohibit them from drawing down any money from the grant. At this time, Treasury is on a timeline to approve Franklin County's planning grant on April 1. It could easily slip back, and if it slips back by 30-day increments, so it could easily be May 1st. But that was the only good news out of Treasury. They said, look, if you do what we asked, then you can start working on your planning grant. So we're trying to get that. There's some contractual language they sent down Monday. Mr. Schuer and the Dewberry attorneys are looking at, and hopefully next meeting we'll be ready to go.
Mr. Chairman, may I say
Yes,
something?
ma'am.
I appreciate the fact that Dewberry came down here and gave us a little, spin of what's going on. I would like for them to really get into the numbers and all that stuff. And I would really like this board to be part of that, to understand what's going on and everything, because, they gave us a whole bunch of information, but they really didn't tell us nothing. I don't mean no harm by it, but I mean, to me, they didn't really tell us nothing. So I would like for them to give us more detailed information, detailed to Franklin County and the restore.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm sure we'll get more information when they start to get paid. That's part of the problem.
Oh, is that the problem?
That's part of the
Oh, okay.
Somebody wants some money, ain't they?
Yeah. Anyway, that's number 1. Number 2, after my discussion with the treasurer, I realized that the summary minutes of June 15, 2015, the board meeting needed to include some additional information. The current summary minutes has a motion by the board to enter into negotiations with Dewberry with no recommendation from staff. Ms. Lori Hines, board secretary, has listened to the tape of the June 15th meeting, and I say on the tape, and I'm quoting, "Staff recommends you enter into negotiations with Dewberry. In order to provide a record that someone reviewed and recommended Dewberry, the minutes need to be amended to reflect the statement I made. I have discussed this with the county attorney, and he and I recommend the board make a motion to amend the June 15th board minutes to reflect the statement I made on tape.
So moved. Second. Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, number 3 here does change quite a bit from what I wrote because of the conference call I had yesterday at 5 o'clock. Inform the board that I attended a final meeting yesterday, Monday, in Niceville for the 8 counties to go over their presentation to the Triumph Board. The next Triumph Board meeting is scheduled to be in Panama City, but events of yesterday in Tallahassee may change what happens with Triumph. Yesterday afternoon, the incoming Speaker of the House, Representative Richard Corrigan from Newport Richey, announced that the legislation that would put, He announced that the legislation that would put $300 million of money to the Triumph Fund for the 8 impacted counties would not be considered during this session. This means that while the legislation that set up Triumph is still in place, this legislative session is not going to put any money into it. This is a significant setback for the 8 impacted counties. I was on a teleconference yesterday afternoon at 5 p.m. with Mr. Bill Williams, the Santa Rosa County Restore Coordinator, and Representative Broxham, and I apologize for misspelling his name, who represents Santa Rosa County. He's a state representative. Mr. Broxham has asked for a meeting with the incoming Speaker, Mr. Corrigan, so that Mr. Corrigan can explain to the representatives of the 8 counties why he chose not to allow funding legislation to pass this year. Representative Broxham believes the meeting with Mr. Corrigan will occur before the session ends, but there is no date set yet. So board action to appoint a commissioner to attend this meeting on behalf of the board. We have to watch out for sun signs. Only one representative of the board can be there. It's Mr. Broxham's intention that each county would send a representative, elected official. And so you all, Commissioner Sanders is our Restore appointee. If she can attend, I don't know when the meeting's going to be. I don't even know if it'll happen.
I'll make a motion. We send Commissioner Sanders. Second. Have a motion and second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, that's sort of the first part. The second part is, this is coming from Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams also like to have someone from Franklin County representing some industry at the meeting, because Mr. Williams feels that Representative Corrigan will be more sensitive to the loss of jobs associated with the loss of Triumph funds than he will be by just hearing from county commissioners themselves. So, and I don't have any idea, but Mr. Williams discussed, isn't there some industry, private sector representative that could also go up there and talk about, if we don't get Triumph money, we're not going to create jobs? I mean, that's the angle that Bill Williams had suggested we follow. Again, I don't know when the meeting's going to occur. I defer to you all if you have anybody.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On this Triumph board, that was established to create diversity amongst these coastal communities that were impacted by the oil spill. So that if you had a future oil spill, your economy would be more diverse rather than just our seafood industry and our tourism industry, which relies heavily on the beach and the Gulf. It was about diversity and trying to create diversity within your economic driver in your individual counties. I think that's being lost. I think that message needs to be taken to this meeting of whoever we're going to meet with up there, Commissioner Sanders is, that, this is why it was established. This was to create diversity amongst our economies as an economic driver in these local communities, rather than just as I said earlier, the tourism industry, the seafood industry, things that rely on the Gulf of Mexico, and that's the whole point of Triumph. And I think it's being lost here. It's all now just a battle of money, and it's not about trying to rebuild these local coastal communities to create that diversity. And I think that aspect of it is being lost in a fight amongst money. This Corcoran you're talking about is actually Cochran, I believe.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
Corcoran.
It is Corcoran?
Corcoran.
Okay, I left to see out there.
And Newport Richey, is that correct?
Yes, that's a place south of town.
Which leads you back into the consortium and the fight that's going on with the consortium?
15,
These local
disproportionate.
coastal communities that were not impacted by the oil
Right.
spill, like the consortium, Pot 3 and this Triumph Fund was actually to try to help strengthen these coastal communities and add resiliency to those coastal communities. And I think that's all being lost as a fight over money. And I think that our legislators, not only the ones that just represent us, but across the state, are losing sight of that.
Well, we think about that. Let me give you my last paragraph that I wrote, and this is my opinion, so if someone says I'm wrong, that certainly I can be open for that. Please be aware that this meeting will be called at the very last minute, as I personally do not think Mr. Corrigan has much to gain by meeting with reps in the 8 counties. He said yesterday in some statement that was repeated to me by Mr. Williams, that Corrigan felt that the issue of Triumph was so important he wants it voted on by the full legislature. which is a signal to me that he is trying to put the money in front of a larger group where North Florida will lose the battle. The other victory Mr. Corcoran is hoping to gain, in my opinion, is by delaying Triumph, he hopes that Restore money will be flowing into the 8 counties by then, so there will be other activities to distract attention away from Triumph. I mean, I think he's got everything to gain by delaying this thing. And of course, we have nothing to gain by a delay.
I have a comment too. Senator Gates is trying very hard on our behalf. And we're in the last 8 days of the session. And it takes 2, the House and the Senate, to agree. And so things may change.
Okay.
We don't know. But it's setting up where there are several items that are sort of, the Senate wants and the House wants, and it's a game of horse trade.
Give and take, give
So
and take.
it may not, this may not be the final issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if Commissioner Watson, there's only 8 days left, then I do doubt we're going to get a meeting in 8 days. Corcoran's got his hands full trying to get a session wrapped up.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't see it.
And that was-
But do we have a business person that we can ask to go?
That's another,
I mean, I don't know who
that's
the
another
chairman
question, another quagmire. Who,
If it's not economic, or if it's not tourism, if it's not seafood, we ain't got it.
if Triumph had been already funded and we had some things going on where it could detrimentally affect you, it might be a little different. I just don't know that we have I don't know, I'll leave that up to the rest of the board. I don't know that we have one industry that represents a lot of people that could possibly lose jobs as it reflects to Triumph, because we've not been able to take on anything
Right.
as it reflects to Triumph and the benefits of that.
I'd say send Allen.
Well, I might go with, I'll go with the representative.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's what I would say. I would say to send Allen, and because he's most aware of the economic,
Okay.
status of Franklin County. I mean, you work with it every day,
Okay.
and
that's
you
fine.
are Restore, so.
And that was my earlier point about, what was Triumph established for and everything else. Triumph also requires, I think, some matching funds to
Yes.
leverage you and prioritize you up on that list, which you could possibly use some of our local Restore dollars to do matches and get there. But we're being denied the opportunity when they defund or don't fund Triumph to make those changes and create that diversity. And that's the message that I would like whoever goes and represents Franklin County to hammer that point home as the reason it was established and what we were looking forward to being able to do with some of those funds.
Okay.
And driving that point home rather than trying to come up with a business entity that would support us, because we don't know yet, because we haven't had time to draft plans to try to bring in industry. So we got to go with, I like going with the point that I brought up earlier than hammering that home as to what the intention was of the Triumph Fund.
My feeling if the meeting gets called, I'm afraid Mr. Corcoran's going to say, well, I hear your pain, I appreciate your interest, I will see you next year.
Well, and I'm skeptical like Commissioner Watson, if you're gonna even get a meeting there this close to the end of the session.
I didn't know it was only 8 days.
With the conferencing committee getting together and trying to equal out the dollars and stuff, I don't think.
Well, we'll see. If we hear, so then Commissioner Sanders, you and I will go up there if we get it, if we
Okay.
hear about it.
Real quickly on that note, Alan, I'd like to make a motion that we write the governor on a lot of these points that I just spoke to about the Triumph and what it was established for, and just send that to the governor in our legislative delegation to let him know that we're aware of what's happening and the potential change in that legislation or the non-funding of that particular legislation and the detrimental effects it could have on these coastal communities and why the Triumph Fund was established to begin with. To let them know that we are aware of, because as you said, as everybody's pretty much agreed here, the meeting probably won't happen, and this is our only opportunity to have input into that.
I second that motion.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
My last item is a little bit revised also. Board direction on participation in a strategic planning session for Opportunity Florida. On Friday, March 4th, Mr. Jim Brooks of Opportunity Florida Executive Director has announced a planning session for the 9 counties that are in the Opportunity Florida service area. Franklin County is in the service area, but we are not a dues-paying member. As the board's representative, I have already attended a similar planning session in Niceville for the 12 counties in Florida's Great Northwest service area. Franklin County is not a dues-paying member of that group either. It is my opinion that both Opportunity Florida and FGN, or Florida's Great Northwest, are attempting to become the lead economic development agency for the Panhandle. Unless the board plans to begin paying dues to Opportunity Florida, it is probably inappropriate to send a representative to a strategic planning session, but the county has been invited. I attended the FGN planning session because it developed out of the meetings the 8 impacted counties were having at FGN. Gulf and Wacoa County attended the FGN planning session for the same reason I did, to make sure that the presentation, if it occurs in front of Triumph, was from the 8 impacted counties and not some larger group. So that's how I got drug over
Yeah.
there.
I think until we can see more productive stuff that's gonna benefit Franklin County, we still do not need to be paying dues to Opportunity Florida.
Commissioner Washington, just to let you know, Opportunity Florida, say we're in our service area, but the only exercise they've ever had is on the I-10 corridor. It's had no benefit to us down here.
And how many memorandums of understanding and memorandums of agreement did we do and didn't get anything in response to it? So, anyway.
Okay, that's my report. Unless any questions?
All right. Anybody have questions?
Yeah, is Opportunity Florida and the Florida's Great Northwest, has that not been redundant? They're both trying to do the same thing?
Yes, that's one of them's going to win
And
out.
if there is no Triumph funding, then,
Well, FGN is really counting on Triumph funding somehow helping them out. I don't know how it would, because they're not an 8 impacted county, but theoretically, they're looking into getting some sort of a money out of Triumph to do some overall development planning for actually all 12 counties, which includes the Opportunity Florida area. Whether they'll be successful or not, I don't know. I mean,
isn't Opportunity Florida doing exactly the same thing?
they're trying to, but they're only in 9 counties, and they're further east. They're not completely, actually, they're not completely overlapped. Opportunity Florida is 9 counties, including Wacoa, Liberty, I'm not sure, Leon, maybe Leon, I'm not really
No,
sure.
it's 8 counties.
Oh, is it 8 counties?
It's 8 counties.
Okay.
It's like Wakulla, it's like Franklin, Gulf, Calhoun, Liberty, Bay County, Jackson County.
Okay.
Oh, my
So
God.
basically, both of these,
Same area.
excuse me, both of them are trying to get Triumph funds to help these non-coastal communities?
I would say that's the goal, yes, that would be the goal.
Yeah.
And then Florida's Great Northwest, they're not sticking with the 8 coastal communities, they're spending the 12.
They're trying to, that's correct.
And Opportunity Florida, they only have like 4 coastal communities and the rest are
Right.
non-coastal communities, I would say.
Right.
So both of these entities basically are trying to do some kind of planning session to use up Triumph funds that, again, the legislation was drawn up to help these 8 coastal communities impacted by the Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
Right.
And there is no Triumph funding.
Right.
Okay. Just want to point that out.
All right, thank you, Alan.
Hey.
Michael, County Coordinator.
Say this too often. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Item 1, inform the board that the House of Representatives rejected the amendment to the statutory hall bill that would call for the replacement of both Florida statutes currently on display in the U.S. Capitol in D.C. Excuse me, and instead stuck with the Senate version of the legislation, which will implement a process to consider nominations to replace General Edmund Kirby Smith, but keep Dr. John Gorey. Excuse me, final action on the bill was on Wednesday, February 24th, and passed without objection, and I think it's now on the governor's desk, if I'm not mistaken.
It will be.
It will be. Item 2, inform the board that the House Local and Federal Affairs Committee amended House Bill 1015, in its original form. House Bill 1015 included language that would place limits on the adoption of local millage rates that local municipalities and counties must adhere to regarding setting millage rates. All of the objectionable provisions that would have changed the current procedure were amended out. Item 3, board action to award the CR 370 revetment project to Coastline Clearing and Development. Clay Smallwood of Preparation reviewed all of the RFPs and recommended Coastline Clearing and Development as the lowest responsive bidder. Board action.
So moved.
This project being paid for out of FEMA funds, and I'll say that while we designed the project for that last winter, before the last winter storm came through, we had significant erosion on Gulf Shore Boulevard. There also might have been some additional damage onto this project, so I'll tell you now, there's certainly possibly have a change order, also be funded through FEMA to take it, to beef that area up after we designed it. So we don't want to make advantage. Now that I've got somebody in there to rebuild that thing, and I've got an X number of FEMA dollars, I'm gonna try to use all of it to rebuild it as best I can.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Real quick.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on, Mr. Chairman, who's gonna be monitoring this project to make sure it's completed?
Preparation, that's gonna take place
Our
here.
engineer will be monitoring, making sure it's done properly and,
Yes.
and,
Yes, sir.
okay.
I should have,
Repair program, it's not, we're not, we're gonna start from scratch. We're taking the rock out, taking all the debris that DEP complained about, removing that, putting more rock in there, maybe rebuilding filter fabric. So, I mean, it's definitely a repair project.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we got somebody monitoring, so we don't end up more lawsuits that we've done this wrong or done that wrong.
Yeah.
So I want somebody monitoring, and that's gonna be our engineer of record.
Yes.
Okay.
In other words, we don't want no stop orders from DEP.
Yeah, I mean, we wanna do it, we
We
wanna
have
do
a
it right,
permit for
make
this.
sure it's done
We have a
right.
permit for it.
We've had enough of them.
say it that way.
Yeah.
Item 4, I'm sorry, board voted and we approved?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 4, board action to advertise for RFPs for the Carabel Beach Park bathroom renovation project. Previously, the board directed me to have the architect Doug Schuler look at the roof and electrical system and determine if improvements are needed before advertising for bids. His report and recommendations are attached and will be included with the original plans when advertising.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Next few items relate to P and Z. Item 5, board action to approve TJ Ward and Joseph Strahan to serve on the Planning and Zoning Board to fill the vacant seafood worker and realtor seats. With these appointments, the March 8 Planning and Zoning meeting will proceed as scheduled.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, board action to have Attorney Schuler look at a house on 824 West Pine Avenue on St. George Island that doesn't meet the county's minimum square footage requirement. I've attached all the information that you need in reference to this request to your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr.
This a
Chairman.
new build house?
Mr. Chairman.
It's a long story. The house is not gonna.
Yes, sir.
A clarification from the board, when you say look at, does the board also intend that if there's a violation that I take enforcement action to bring them into compliance with your zoning code?
Absolutely. Add
Yes, sir.
add that to my motion. I'm in my motion to reflect that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Go with the same basis of what he said. Item number 7, board action to have Attorney Schuler review a possible flood ordinance violation on St. George Island. A business owner without a permit or commercial site plan review from Planning and Zoning has placed a storage shed in the critical shoreline and below base flood elevation.